So,
That
girl,
would be
what have
great
you been
too.
doing in this quarantine? Like, actually,
Working it
outside of
out.
that. Same here. Same here.
Just day by day, trying to, I'm like I said, I just try to like be grateful. Very, very lucky.
Same here. Just been like in hibernation mode, just like hiding out. I mean, I've been trying to like write as much as I can. That hasn't
That's great.
happened as much. And try to get into the mirror and check out like, some new makeup things. Cause I hardly ever really put any makeup on, and I'm just like, MJ, you gotta like, girl, get back into the field of putting makeup on again.
just step into it. I'm so sorry about the beeping noise. That is one of my fire alarms. We have tried to fix it, but we can't figure out why it's still beeping. And the more we try to fix it, the more it beeps. So if you hear any strange beeping noises, I apologize. We're trying to work it out. It's, technical difficulties.
So, Miss Zendaya, um, as you may know, I am an extreme fan of Euphoria. I love your work. I think you are an amazing actress and so
Thank
versatile.
you so much.
So, what was it like finding Rue, channeling Rue, and just like picking her apart and putting her on the screen?
Right. It's the best, being able to like create a character, and I'm lucky because the creator of our show, Sam Levinson, who's also directed most of the episodes, but Rue is also kind of like loosely based off his own life and his own experiences dealing and battling, addiction, and I really just a lot of it had to do with just a lot of conversations with him. We become really close. I talk to him almost every day, and I've just been lucky to kind of sit there and have honest conversations with him, and he's been able to be such an open book. I don't know if I could do that, really go into those like darkest parts of myself or my the things that go on in his head, or and he's just so open with me, and we just talk, and I feel that Rue is kind of like this beautiful blend of him and myself in a weird way. Rue is obviously very different from me, but there's something that feels like home to her. Something that feels very like, stepping into shoes that you somehow already worn before. So I never felt like I was like putting on a thing or doing a thing. I just felt like I was kind of falling into her a lot. And I don't know, she means a lot to me, I'm sure you can relate, but that feeling of like when a character feels like they're your sister, or they're your best friend, or there's someone in your life that you really, really care about. And so I care about Rue as if she's like someone in my life, like my little sister or whatever, and I just want her to be okay, and I want her to see these things, and I want her to make the right decisions. And so like everything that she goes through is like it's painful to like go through it with her, because you just want her to be okay. And I know she's not a real person, but she is a real person, I think, because of the fact that that Sam wrote her, and she is so close to him in that way. So yeah, it just kind of was a thing that just kind of slowly formed and was created over time. And I'm a huge fan of Pose, by the way. I think you are also brilliant, and I mean the show it's so fun and heartfelt, and I was watching the first season when I was in London doing Spiderman, and it got me through because I had so much downtime. I was by myself, and it was my favorite thing. And I finished it too fast. That's the problem, because I was like, next. But you are fantastic, and so talented. So many different facets of talent that you have. So yeah, I mean, I guess my question would be, how did it come about? Like, how did you was the audition process? When did you first hear about it? Like, how did it come into your life?
Ooh, so first, thank you. That means a lot coming from you, because like I said, you're a phenomenal actress. To how Pose came into my life, it was fast paced. At first, I heard it from a couple of my girlfriends. They were telling me like, "Hey, girl, like there's this new show coming out," and you should definitely audition for it. And I was like, okay, well, let's see how that goes. I mean, I haven't really heard anything just yet, but we'll see how it goes. And then I remember just jumping straight in and contacting the I think the might have been the casting agency. I just jumped in and sent my headshot, and I sent like a brief email saying, hey, you guys, I don't know if you've seen me for this, but I would love to be considered. And went into testing, and then another audition, and then right then and there it happened. And it was so fast paced, but it was the most beautiful moment of my life, just going through that process of auditioning for a television show, because I had never done that before. You know, I mean,
Right.
I had been doing some Broadway. I never really considered myself a Broadway girl because I only really did off Broadway. Um, but I had done a couple of shows here and there, hadn't really gotten my footing as much as I wanted to in television and TV, even though I knew I had the the knack for it, and I knew I had the
Right.
ability to do it. That was my first dream, my first passion. And then everything just sprawled out, and Blanca came to life, and it was kind of beautiful the way it happened. I mean, Ryan Murphy, he was in the room for the second testing, and he brought Dominique in the room, and it was instant chemistry between us.
Right.
And then after that, I remember receiving a call from him on the phone, and he was asking me. I always tell this story. This story will never ever die. He asked me. He asked me, "What are you doing, MJ?" And I said, "I'm watching Rihanna's Wild Thoughts." And that was the most random thing I could have ever told him.
Right.
But I didn't know what to say because it was Ryan Murphy, and who gets a call from Ryan Murphy? You know what I mean? So it was beautiful, and the journey to Blanca was amazing, and just being able to delve in her like how I knew I was able to, because I had already done the work and process on how I would contribute to her character, how I would make sure that she was the compassionate, caring, loving woman that she was in the breakdown, but also bring pieces of my mother, and pieces of me, and pieces of a lot
Right.
of trans women around, who were around me in the time of 2014, which is not too long ago,
Right.
but seems like decades ago. I channeled all of that, and I brought that to her, and it was beautiful.
You're in denial of what HIV is doing to your body. You've just got to stay alive long enough for something better to come along.
You know, it's moments like these that make your life flash right before you. Crazy thing is not my life I'm seeing right now, it's my kids. There's a specific monologue that you do, Zendaya. It's with Fez and Rue, and it's just after Rue leaves Jules's place in Worry. And Rue needs to find some stability, right? Rue needs to go back and try to medicate herself so that she doesn't. At least this is what I recollected from. She needs some kind of stability to make sure that she's okay, right? So I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this girl is actually really like delving into somebody who is an extreme addict, but also someone who deals with anxiety, and who deals with just a multitude of mental illnesses that's hard for a lot of individuals out there. And some people medicate themselves, and it was so beautifully done. I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
know how in the world, you're so welcome. I just want to know how in the world did you muster up to have all of that emotion and all of that anger, but also still shine through with like just like passion. It was beautiful. But yeah, how did you do that?
Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
um, I would say, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm trying to think of the specific scene that you're talking about, and I think it's were we by the pool?
No,
Is
you had,
the first
so
episode?
Rue had just, I think it was the sixth episode. Rue runs up to Fizz's door, knocks on his door, and
Oh,
yes, and it was just like
got you.
she needed something quick because she wanted just to
Right,
medicate herself
right,
in the moment of being, and her anxiety was
right.
running high.
Yeah.
So, how did
Um,
you do that?
You know what's funny is because that's the one scene I think, you know, as doing what we do, we're always very self-critical of ourselves. So like
Mm-hmm.
I even say it to Sam to this day, but like I don't like the way it was edited together. I was like, there's better takes,
Wow.
there's better takes. So I'm not like, me personally, I'm like, I'm not as happy with it as I wish, like as I could be, which is funny because I mean I appreciate that people like, you know, but that's just like me being in my own head and being ridiculous. Yeah, I mean that day, that was a tough day. That was one of the scenes that was written in the script, and I remember reading it when I first read Euphoria, and I just remember going like, it was one of those scenes where I read and I was like, oh, like my heart was like broken for her, and I was so nervous about it. I was so nervous like the whole time I was shooting because I was like, when am I gonna have to do that scene? When am I gonna have to do that scene? You know, like it's coming. I don't know if you've ever had that thing of like you got a big scene coming. You're like, oh, it's like there's so much nerves and a lot of excitement too. But a lot of nerves because I was just like, I just wanted to do it justice and I wanted it to be as special as it was on the page when I read it. So I just wanted to like give it everything I had. And we were out there for like, I don't even know how long, a ridiculous amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam was just putting me through it. He was like, keep going, keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. And I think it was a really emotional moment because I think that's one of those scenes that, you know, Sam Levinson had plucked from his life, you know, and so I think it was emotional for everybody, and I think special because I think it's so important to have like an environment in which you feel that you can go there, or you can feel emotionally safe in a space where you can just be vulnerable and go as far as you can. And so I'm very lucky, down to like, you know, every crew member, everybody around just is so supportive and like, and just give you the time to like do what you need to do. And, you know, there's been times where like, you know, they'll come up to me after and they'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
you good? You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you. You know, so we're all like such a team, and I appreciate that because, you know, it's like you have to have that safe space to be able to do the job,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I think it's just credit to Sam's writing, but also just to, again, like those conversations we had, and creating that safe space to be able to not feel like yourself, you know, to be able to kind of let a lot out, you know, that I was like, I didn't even know I was holding on to myself, you know, and just use Rue as a way to just, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let it all just kind of come out. So
Well, if
it's
I must
very
say,
cathartic.
you executed so well. I felt
Thank
for
you.
real. You're so welcome. I felt for real. I just, knowing from the moment you start the pilot, and there's a list of things that Rue deals with, not only anxiety but depression, and then also dealing with addiction, and then dealing with, you know, her father having cancer, I think. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with cancer and all of these other things, and it just boiling up to that point. And I watched that and I was like, oh my God, this is her breaking point. Like, this is the breaking point for Rue. This is the moment where it's either Rue can stop or Rue can continue. And it was just done so well. It was done so well.
Thank you
So
so much.
congratulations on that, girl. You're
Thank you
so
so
welcome.
much.
This is it. This is the feeling I've been searching for my entire life, for as long as I can remember, because suddenly the world went quiet.
And your character, Blanca, she's so like, I love her. Like, I want to know her. I want to like be in her life. You know, she just I think you've brought such a warmth and such a it just, I don't know. And I think it really has to do with like when I first met you, or like I think you just have that warmth and that like infectious energy of like, oh, this is a beautiful person and I want to be around them. And I think that you're able to bring that to this character, who I think, also like the first episode of the second season, I love the moment where she gets the news that it's now transferred to AIDS, and the way you take it in, and immediately all she can think about is her kids. You know what I mean? Her family that she's looking after and that she's creating, and that is yeah, it's such a beautiful moment. So I guess my question would be, I have a lot of questions. But I guess my question would be, when it comes to not just creating her, and I love what you were saying about, pulling different people from your own life to create her, but did that kind of, did you feel like that kind of, like you wanted to take care of everybody? You know what I mean? Did you become close to these people on set? Did you kind of almost become this mother-like figure outside of just this character? Because I feel like that you just have this energy that like you hold everything together, is what it feels like. So I was wondering if, like, if that kind of extended outside of, how close you and the cast might be, or what is your relationship with everyone?
For me, like when we first had even started, a couple of the cast members I had known through actually working. I had worked on a movie before, and I had known India Moore for about 2 years prior to Post
Wow.
happening. Billy Porter was associate director on the off-Broadway production of this show that I was doing. I was doing Rent. So those connections were already there. Ryan Jamal Swain and Angel Bismarck and Jason, all of these amazing individuals, we just built and built upon how I felt, how MJ felt a mother is supposed to be when it comes to their kids. It's at when you brought up the situation about her finding out her transition from HIV to AIDS, not only did I think about what my mother went through when she had friends who had passed away from the virus, but also I thought about us living in an age where there's something possibly crazy could happen, and what would I do as a mother if I were to have kids? Would I just focus on me, or would I focus on how they're going to grow up so that they not only can leave a legacy, because we all want a legacy left behind, but also that so that my kids could say, she did this and this is how mommy did it. And that was all in my head constantly while I was channeling Blanca. And on set, sometimes, I'm silly and stupid and funny, and I do some crazy stuff. But even in the moments when it's serious, I make sure that I buckle down, because just as much as I need everyone's help on the set, they need my help too. It's a give and take. Right. So I had to, there were moments where, yes, I had to delve into mother mode and, deliver like how I need to deliver, but like how I needed to deliver. But then there were other moments where I would completely disengage. One, because sometimes those scenes are extremely hard, and a lot are more deep than I'm not going to say deep than happy, but a lot more deep than jovial. The jovial moments are when you go to the ball, but for the most part, it's showing a life aside from the ballroom scene, and what individuals like myself who are part of that community, what we go through as regular, normal, day-to-day human beings. And I had to think, okay, well, I walk down the street as a regular human being. I don't think anything else. So I have to bring that. And also, my mother is a huge inspiration. She's a strong African-American woman who raised me. So I have to definitely incorporate that. That was one of my main goals. That's like 80% of it all. And then obviously the craft, and you know about that. The craft is something that you really have to hone down in. So,
Right.
yeah, we all had a good collective chemistry. And also, all of us knew what was at stake and knew what we had to
Right.
do because we knew the show could possibly make history. And also, we wanted it to be a great representation of the community that we're part of.
Right.
Count me out. I'm not posing for a mugshot.
Oh no, ain't none of y'all ever give me lip when I say we're walking a category together at the ball. Well, this Sunday, the ball is at the church, and the categories are family and standing up for ourselves and our community, and all of y'all are going.
You must know how, I must have known how, culturally important it was and is. And it was going to be, what is, as far as like reactions, I think to people and people needing to feel seen and connected to all of your work. What has been the best part about that, about people's connection and reaction to the show?
I think the best part about it, oh my God, there are so many good parts about it. But the best part is so many different people of different walks of life, whether they be a part of the LGBTQAI community, whether they be a part of the African American, the people of melanin community, whether they be just a part of any kind of community. They've been so accepting and loving of the story and of the true message, which is family.
Right.
A lot of people lose the message of family and togetherness, and what made it so amazing when it used to be on Sundays, because that was amazing for me when it was on Sundays. It was like, oh good, Sunday dinner, a little Sunday,
Right.
fun day, everybody get together. It was just a cohesive feeling of togetherness and acceptance, which brings me to this. As far as acceptance and as far as like awareness, you worked with Hunter on the show, and she is amazing. I love Hunter. We've
Me too.
seen each other many, many times. I know you do.
I'm like Hunter's biggest fan. I love her so much. She's so talented and such a brilliant part of Euphoria, and I'm so excited to see what she continues to do. She's she's so special, and I think anybody who meets her is like, she just has this energy that's unreal. Yeah. I love Hunty.
So working with Hunter Schafer, as you know, there is a lot of topics of discussion in Euphoria around trans identity and how one moves in the world as a woman of that experience, right? What was it like also maneuvering in a somewhat platonic but also like deep relationship with a character who is of a different community?
Right. I think what's beautiful about rules. I was going to say rules because I'm so used to just putting them together.
That's what it is, baby.
Rue
It's
and
rules.
Jules' relationship it's just about, I think it's just pure love. They just, at least for what I can say for Rue, is just like from the first, I think it was like love at first sight for Rue. I think the first time she sees her, she's like, I have to be in this girl's life. I don't know what it is, but I want to be around this person. That's why she invites herself to her house. You know what I mean? The first time they meet.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, I think much to what you were saying, how, sometimes, there's so many things going on in a show that you forget that the underlying thing is family, for your show, and the importance of family and community. And for us, I think at the end of the day, a lot is going on in Euphoria, but when you get down to it, a lot of the times it's just a love story between two young people who are just falling in love with each other, and it's messy and it's confusing and it's scary, especially when you add addiction into it and you add codependency and you add all these other things. But at the end of the day, it's a love story, and they are just figuring it out as they go. And I think that was what was so special and so beautiful to me, is just bringing that to a screen. It's just like as simple as that. Two people in love, and that's what makes it special. And so, and Hunter, I think she's incredible, obviously, in the show, an incredible person, and I was just so lucky to be able to work beside her, and we instantly became very, very close, and comfortable and safe with each other, which is so important. And I think another thing that Sam, because we only have one writer, which is Sam Levinson, and I think one thing he does very well is allows for all of the cast to really put themselves into the character, in the sense of like, I don't even know all the conversations that Hunter and Sam have had, but I know they talk a lot, just as much as him and I do, and I know that those conversations lead into then who Jules becomes on camera, or what he writes for her. So, it's I think it's beautiful to watch her, because this was her first acting job, and to just jump into something like this and be so vulnerable, and be so open, with her own experiences, her own stories with Sam, to create this character that is much like her and much not like her, but I think is just like blown away by it, and so, like I said, I'm just lucky to be able to be, part of that really, really special love story that I think hasn't been told or seen before. So, yeah.
It was extremely powerful. It was just something that everyone in the world wants to see. Even the people who say they don't want to see it, they really do. And it was beautifully, beautifully done. And like I said, it showed so much power.
I don't want anything bad to happen to you. And, you just can't be mad at me for wanting you to be okay. You can say I'm being anxious, just, it hurts my heart too much.
How much of a powerful boss you are. So
Aww.
I did a little research, and this is research that has not just been done, but it's been done for a while, because I have actually been an extreme fan of yours. I feel like Zendaya, I kind of like grew up with you through the screen, and it was the best thing, because I was like, oh my God, she's this adorable. Me being like, we're literally, I'm like only 2 years apart, but like, or 3 years, who cares? But like, it's like, I see someone that I'm like, oh my God, I see so much of her in me, and I'm looking through the television screen, and I'm just so happy. And then doing the research, knowing that you were on Disney and you became a producer at 17 years old, and and also being a girl of beautiful melanin, like that doesn't happen as often. How did you manage to do that? And also, how did it feel? That's what I really want to know. How did it feel to be in power at such a young age?
That's a great question. Thank you. I appreciate that. Knowing that you are admire what I do at all. It means the world to me. So I appreciate that a lot. I just have been doing Disney Channel for so long. I started when I was like 13 years old, so by the time I was, 17 or so, had, I think, a better understanding and focus of what I wanted and what I wanted to create, especially in a career sense. And so a lot of the times in this industry, it's about like recognizing your power, and not selling yourself short, which I think we can either tend to do or be talked into doing. And I just, it's the kind of that, like, that corny thing of, like, know your worth, but it is that, it's like knowing what you are worth and you can bring to the table. And I knew that I had more to offer in a more professional capacity. I wanted the title of a producer or whatever when I was younger, because I wanted to learn what it was like to do all that stuff behind the scenes. Because my hope is, the more that I'm able to do the behind the scenes stuff, the more voices I can uplift that aren't necessarily mine. You know what I mean? I think that's a really beautiful thing, is being able to create the things that we don't necessarily see yet, or haven't yet seen, or amplify a voice that may not be our own. And that's the goal. So in order to do that, I had to learn, or have to continue to learn, I think, more the back end of it. I have to learn the business of it. I have to learn what it takes to actually create something. And so I've been just very lucky to be in positions where I can use that power or that leverage or whatever, to make those moves and those things at a young age, So I don't know. I guess I got, you want to say just luck, you know what I mean? I got lucky, but yeah, I learned so much, and I just want to kind of continue to also just be an actress at the end of the day, Mm-hmm. As much as I love, all the rest of it, I also just love, like, the bare bones of just being an actress, all just telling stories, because that's really what we're doing,
Exactly.
And, I know you are a talented singer, as well as a dancer, as well as a actress, as well as, you can do all these things, and do them so well.
Thank
And,
you.
I guess my question would be to you is there something, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Is there some more you want to do? Like, what do you see yourself continuing to do in your career? Do you love acting more? Do you want to get more into this? Do you want to get more into that? What is, what's next for you? Because I am invested, and I'm so excited to see whatever you do, which I will be supporting. But
Vice versa.
thank you. But, like, what is your true love and passion, and what do you want to continue to do and create?
Zendaya. So that's one of the best questions ever, because starting out, I started out in music school. I went to Berklee College of Music, and I was a songwriter there. I was majoring in songwriting, minoring in performance, and an opportunity came up, and I just took it because I knew that it incorporated singing, dancing, and acting. But I really, honestly, and it pains me to say this because I never want to sound like I'm dissing the musical theater community, because I'm not. I love musical theater. I just knew that was a space for me to really exemplify every piece of my artistic crafts. But the reality was, for me, was that I wanted to be a serious actress, and I wanted to be separately a singer. And I mean, there's so many more things that I got down the line that I'm, like, working on. I got a movie that I'm working on, and got some other things that I'm working on, which I'm real happy about, because I never thought that all of this stuff would happen for a girl like me, let's be real. But those were my passions. And the first true passion was being I know it sounds crazy, but a pop R&B icon, someone who can reach all individuals through music. Because as we all know, you're an artist as well. music is one of the most powerful tools to really convey change through people's minds, through their spirits, through their actions day to day, as well as acting. But that was my first passion, and then acting just came out of nowhere. My first opportunity came from Nurse Jackie, and I played Lana, and I was like, oh my God, I love the set. I love the ambiance. I love the way people build and the crew teams just contrive all of these spaces that you would never think would be created on a television screen. It looks so real, and then you go behind the scenes and you're like, oh my God, this is just literally like a playground for the people who love to just create. But yeah, those were my main passions, and I'm still till this day striving and trying to make space to be everything that I can be. You know, I'm trying to get like you. I'm gonna be honest. I'm trying to get
No,
like you.
I'm trying to get like you.
Which is
I love it.
you're so
like I was saying before, we hype each other up. That's what we do through Instagram.
Exactly.
We see each other.
Exactly. We surely do. Yes.
We really do. We really do.
For real, for shizzle. But for shizzle, where did that come from? You just see.
Let's bring it back for shizzle.
No, but yeah, that was my whole goal. It was just to really be someone who was a performer in every single aspect, as a serious actress and also as a songstress. And I'm still I'm gonna achieve that goal. And it's funny that you mentioned knowing your worth. A couple of days ago, little personal ditty, I was really trying to find my worth in this space of quarantine. And I was with my boyfriend, and, you know, he was talking to me, giving me a lot of good food. And then out of nowhere, I said, oh my God, I have to know my worth. I really have to know my worth. And for a long time, I thought I knew all about my worth. And sometimes it's a slow, gradual build. It's like a ladder. You have to constantly, especially as women in the business, we always have to find our way when it comes to our worth, because, you know, it happens to us often where we don't get the things that we deserve because of our feminine and because of who we are as women. But when that happened, and mind you, this was literally a week ago or a couple of days ago, I can't remember, it changed my whole outlook of life. And this is coming from a grown woman. I mean, we're both grown women here, but like, I never thought in a million years that I would sit in a space where it's quiet, because, you know, in this time, it's a lot of space for yourself and figuring things out. It was one of the most beautiful things. And tying back to what you were saying, as far as like, what do I have happening and, you know, what's down the line? We never really know what's down the line, but I do have a plan, and my plan looks pretty bright. It looks amazing, and the things that are lined up are wonderfully aligned, and I can't complain whatsoever. And I'm so glad within that week I found my worth as a strong Latina, melanin black, trans woman in the industry. And most of that came from a lot of people on the television screen, one of them being you. Truly honest, being honest. So that's how it happens, and I can't complain. I can't complain. I can't complain.
No, that is so beautiful, and I'm so excited to see, you know, what you continue to do, because like I said, you're such a talent and such a kind, wonderful person on top of that, which is just makes it that much more sweet and more beautiful. And I think it is so important that, you know, I mean, we, you know, we'll do it, like I said, hyping each other up, but it's real, you know. I think that support and that want for, you know, if you win, I win kind of thing, I think is so special. And I've always, you know, I always feel that from you, and I hope you feel that from me, because I just feel like that support is so important, you know. So that's why I was like, that one of the many reasons why I was excited to talk to you today. because I think that community that we build for each other is so important.
Do you have a drink?
I had one. I'm in the beauty profession, nails mostly. I recently opened my very own salon, but it burnt down.
My question was, because I know like that, you know, like you were back to what you were saying, how many times on set it's tough. Like most scenes are more emotionally draining or exhausting than sometimes they are just fun and, you know, whatever. And I want to know how you handle that as a human, as a person who has to, you know, at the end of the day, like go home and like and release from that. Because I know for me, like as a human being, like you're like, whew, today was a tough day, and you have to like hold on to that, and you have to deal with it, and you have to go through so much, and you have to like, you know, bring up old memories and thoughts and things you thought that you dealt with already. And I just want to know what your process is with that, how you I guess decompress from that, and and yeah, like what does that look like for you when you're working, and how do you balance that emotionally?
The days where it's extremely rough, I have to be honest, sometimes it's hard to let it go.
Right.
Sometimes it's best for me to live in that moment so I can just like let it run its course and sleep on it, and you know, wake up the next day and it's a whole new different day. But when in those and I'm sure you can attest to this too, because I've seen, like I said, I've watched Euphoria at least about 3 times, and every single time I see it I'm like, I don't know how Zendaya is doing this, because Rue is a complex character. So just looking at you, I'm like, oh my God, I know she's feeling exactly what I'm feeling when it comes to a heavy scene being in a hospital, or, you know, a scene where we have a lost one, and you have to channel either the research that you've done, or really source into yourself and dig in. And it's a lot. It's not easy. But that's what makes it so beautiful. That's what makes it so fun too, weirdly. I love delving into those moments because at least somebody can get a piece of what that character went through in that time, whether it be with Rue's moment in the modern time, or whether it be in Blanca's moment in 1987 or 1990, or, you know, the other times. It's always good for people to feel those emotions so that they can, I feel, draw themselves closer to the characters, and also see the work that we're doing as actresses. Because, honey, listen, I'm gonna big up both of us. We are turning it out in this industry, and we're making waves, and it's a beautiful thing. And but it's hard. It's hard because
Right.
the craft is, it's a meticulous thing. It's not easy, and I mean, anyone who wants to get involved, they really have to really take note that it's not just the character is taking a heavy hit on, the person who is behind the character is taking a hit too. You know, so those scenes were hard, but it's beautiful because at the end of the day, you know that the work was done justly, and that
Right.
it will possibly be conveyed the way it needs to, so that people can understand the story and what all of these characters are going through. So, as we all know, we're living in an age where there's Miss Rona, where she's creating a new norm for all of us. She's tap dancing into
Yes.
our lives,
Yeah.
unbeknownst. And with that being said, I'm sure we all know that, you know, production has been postponed. And
Right.
how did you deal with that, knowing that it was postponed, and also knowing that there was upcoming season being planned? What is
Right.
that like for you, and how are you structuring yourself around that?
um, you know, it's so funny. So, well, it's not funny, but coincidentally, you know, we were supposed to go back to work. I believe it was like the 16th. It was going to be our first day, March 16th of shooting. And literally like 3 or 4 days before that, they were like shut down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I think towards when everybody was starting to go into quarantine and self-quarantine themselves. And so I was like, dang, I was so close, you know. We did, you know, camera tests and hair and makeup tests, and we got to see everybody, and we had the sets were built, and, you know, I mean, the scripts were written, and I was just so excited just to, you know, kind of go back home is really what it feels like, you know. But of course, this has all happened, and you know, I'm just grateful that, you know, I'm in the position I'm in. I can't, like I said, I can't complain. I'm very, very lucky to be safe and healthy, and still know that I have, you know, a job, Euphoria, that will be there when I'm done, when this is, you know, hopefully gets better. So I'm very lucky, and I wish more than anything, of course, I wish that I was working on it right now, because of, I know what's to come, and I know I just want to act at the end of the day, you know, like at the end of the day, I love my job, and I just want to be able to do what I love to do, and just, you know, make believe and bring Hertz back to life, and, you know, and I know how much, you know, she has meant to me, and I know how much she's meant to other people that have, you know, dealt with the same things, or are continue to, or are currently dealing with the things that she deals with, or and that's why you know, I'm so grateful for Euphoria, you know, because I think Sam has been able to articulate, I think, a lot of feelings and a lot of internal struggles and dialogues that people don't really know how to really put into words, or I've never really outwardly seen so clearly. And that was, I think, all we ever wanted, was for people to feel seen, you know, through our work. And so that's all I want to continue to do, you know, is continue to show, you know, the human side of what addiction does to a person. And I want her to be okay, you know, like I was, so after the first season, I was like, I want to know what's going to happen to her, because I just want her to be okay. So I know that there's so much special, exciting things that will hopefully come when we're able to do them and shoot them. There might be some changes, or you know, new ways of how we're gonna have to do it, but it will be special when we get the opportunity to. So yeah, I don't know. I who knows what the future holds at this point, you know. But hopefully I get to go back to Ruru, you know. Hopefully I get to, you know, get back into my chucks and do it again, because I really do.
Yeah,
love
girl,
it.
because we want some more Rue. We want
Thank
some more
thank
Rue.
you.
I want some
Listen.
more Rue.
Listen. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I said, I'm very lucky. So what can I say, you know? Except I'll just wait it out.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it's pretty. It's a different time, you know.
It is. It's definitely a different time.
I'm trying to think of some other things. I think what he wanted me to tap into. I'm not going to necessarily relate to what's happening now, but I do. I think one of the most impactful parts of Pose is, you know, the way it reflects and showcases, you know, the AIDS epidemic and how it affected the community, and yeah, I'm like, woo, I'm, you know, just thinking about it, and I think, you know, what are your thoughts, you know, bringing that to life and telling those stories, and really, I think, making sure that those stories and those lives, I think, are represented, you know, on screen.
It's heartbreaking every single time to hear a story, to hear stories from even whether it be background or whether it be reoccurring, whether it be leads who have lived through that time of that epidemic. It's heart-wrenching, but it's also justifying to know that the stories that haven't been told, like young African American Black men in that time, or Black trans women and Latina trans women of that time, it feels so beautiful because for a while there was a separation, and it almost felt like people were being left out. And when I say that specifically, it's, the African American community,
Right.
which is so unfortunate. But with working with Ryan Murphy, and the things that he does is he brings things to light, or he scratches the surface in the best way for people to truly understand. And I just thought it was beautiful. And it's kind of ironic. So we got notice on March 13th. We were literally 8 days in the shooting, and
Right.
we got shut down as well. I mean, it's a blessing, like
Right.
you said, to know that you have a job, because there are a lot of people out there who just are not fortunate enough to, like, we have to be honest with that. There are not a lot of people out there that are fortunate. But it was also an eye opener, and in no way there is a comparison to HIV and AIDS in this pandemic. Yes, one is global, and yes, one it was an epidemic. But the one thing that they all tie into, aside from socially, because a lot of people place social constructs on who received HIV and AIDS and what group, but in reality, these viruses, they didn't care who anyone was, whether they be a part of the LGBTQAI community or whether they be a part of the African American, a part of the Caucasian, Asian. It goes the gamut. And I think people need to realize that when watching a show like that, when watching a show like Pose, and also watching within a show like Euphoria and the different juxtapositions, there are certain circumstances that they don't leave out everyone, and it can be extremely dire. And what's the end result? Is it just let bygones be bygones, or is it actually look and see how we can bring each other together as human beings at the end of the day, and see the
Right.
struggles of every single last part of a community that has fought and really, really struggled to be themselves, whether it be gender nonconforming, whether it be trans individuals, whether it be straight individuals, race included, it does not matter. And that was the main goal when in those roles and in that space, to make sure that we delivered the way we needed to, so people saw that it affected everybody and affected everyone. And the end result is making sure that you care for the people, so that you can just, for me, in that space, I always wanted to make sure I showed what a lot of people did in the LGBTQAI community to make sure that their loved ones were okay, because they knew that they didn't have another space to go back to. Most of them were displaced.
Right.
Most of them didn't have a home to go to. So they're dealing with an epidemic and not having any course in their thought in mind of a future,
Right.
or where they could be or where they can go. Some of them contracting it and saying, I don't care. I'm just going to live out my life. And it's like, no, but there's more to life. This is not it's a stigma. This is not a prison. It doesn't hold you, it doesn't hold you down to anything. And that's one of the main things I wanted to, try to at least convey through what Blanca was doing. Aside from her being a mother and being a strong family structured oriented woman, she was someone who knew that she had a future, and she wanted to make sure the kids behind her, whether they be the misfits, who I consider myself a misfit too. I think it's a beautiful name. But like, just the people who come up behind her, to let them know that there's going to be a fight, but at the end of the tunnel, there's also going to be a light, and you're going to be okay. You just have to really, really make sure you know your worth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So absolutely. I mean, you spoke that, y'all, so eloquently, and I know we can keep coming back to this like concept of knowing your worth. It's like it's such a like it's like a cliche, but it is so true. It's something that when I say like I think of Rue like a little sister, but I do, and I just wish you knew how good she was, and I think that often, and these again with these conversations that I've had with Sam, like it's hard for him to even take a compliment, and I've ever, and I've said this a million times before, in interviews and things, but all I ever want is for Rue to see the good in herself, and be able to let it in and be able to know that she is deserving of love and good for good things to happen, because I think she is so self-destructive that she doesn't believe in letting beautiful things happen to her, or that she's worthy of them. And, I just wish she had that understanding of her self-worth. And it's one of those things that you just kind of hope for, like the thing that gives me, hope for her to be okay is I know Sam's okay, and I know that there's gonna like hopefully be a happy ending for where Rue goes and her getting clean in her journey. But it's right now it's just like, you sit through it with her and you're just like, come on, and you just want her like, oh.
It's true.
And it breaks. I think
It's
it breaks
true.
my heart in a different kind of way, because you can kind of like take yourself outside of these characters sometimes. You're just like, oh, I just want to help you. I just want, and so I think, that's a special relationship to have. But that, in many ways, we always can also see ourselves in these characters. We can always be like, well, I've been there. I in many ways feel like Rue is just me in another like version of my life, or where my, different way my life could have gone, or, whatever. And I think that, also just having that understanding stories, and I think this is, true for, both of our shows, but when you're able to understand people and see them and watch their story be told in an honest way, there there's a level of compassion and understanding and that you can gain from that. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing, that we're able to do, I think, as storytellers, is be able to, like we said, tell our own stories and tell other people's stories and make sure people feel seen and feel heard and don't feel alone in this world, because it's very easy to feel that way, that maybe we're the only people going through what we're going through, so.
Right. And if I must add, you have made such a beautiful transition every part of your career, every single last part of your career. I'm
Thank you
going
so
to
much.
shower you with some compliments. You have transitioned so beautifully. And I know as much as I know the world is rooting for Rue, and that is because you gave the world an opportunity to root for Rue. And there are so many. I remember when I was in high school. I mean, I didn't do half as many things as Rue did, but I still went through my circumstances as a kid. When you're
Right.
15, 16, 17, there's so many things that you're discovering, and you executed that so well. Every single one of the cast members, but you made it so easy for people to fall in love with her and know that she's dealing with a lot, but know that she's also going to come out of it. And I can't wait for a second season. I can't wait for a second season, girl.
Listen, I'm
I'm
waiting
gonna
for
say.
that
I
third
can't wait for a
season.
second season.
I know
Oh,
they stopped you guys, so I'm like,
I
listen,
know, right?
we gotta
I'm just
get it back on the road, because we need to know what happens.
I'm not mad at you.
Just the best thing that's happened to me in a really long time, and I just don't want anything bad to happen, so just please don't be mad at me, okay, Joe? Just don't be mad. I'm sorry. I get it.
Okay, so Zendaya, I went to go see Spiderman, and I solely went to see you. I went to obviously go see everyone else, but I solely went to go see you is because I've never seen a representation of that for a long time. I've always seen Mary Jane, who I love dearly. Her green eyes and her red hair, she's amazing. But seeing you and the way you took it there, and you gave such a total different spin, and I just want to know what that was like. Also swinging through the concrete jungle, like with Spider-Man. What was that like?
Spider-Man was like, it was one of the first movies that I did outside of Disney Channel. I did it right before I did Greatest Showman. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't have much to do in the first movie, but I was so just excited to be doing a movie at all. And I knew that she would like develop into, MJ and this whole thing. And, I was lucky because they already kind of wanted to recreate the character. And turn her into a new version of what I think maybe the original Mary Jane character kind of represented, and just do it in our own way in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so I kind of came into it, and there was already on the page this kind of, smart, quick, sharp, young girl who, comes off a bit quirky or offbeat or whatever. But I just have like a lot of fun doing it. I think it's just fun. I like sometimes, the comedy. I like being able to do comedy and things that aren't so, heavy as we are used to.
Okay.
It's a nice,
what was it like on the set?
It's nice.
What was the set like? Because that's a movie set, a Marvel set. I'm sure it's like so much that goes into a Marvel set because there's so many components. Like, what was it like? Were you harnessed, and what was that like? Was it fun swinging?
Yeah,
it just seemed so fun.
Most of it was it was cool because we got to travel so much. Like that last movie, we were like all over the place. We were in Italy, we were in Prague, we were in just all over, and so that was really cool. I spent most of my time in London, and when you wake up at like 3 a.m. and you go to work and you get to like run from a monster that's not there, what I mean, in the middle of London by like I'm literally running outside the Tower of London. It's like before it opens, I get to run in there from like these killer drones that nobody can see because it's not there yet. It's like that's just a cool life. That's a fun day at work, to be able to say that that's what I got to do that day. So it's fun. It's massive. It's like it's very different, I think, from like Euphoria, where it's much more close, and you have, I think, a bit more time, and because of the scale, or even just like the character of the material, like it's you can really develop a character and like take your time, whatever. Whereas on something like Spider-Man, it's such a huge thing, and there's so many secrets, and like half of the script you can't even read because there's too many spoilers for like at the time Endgame and like all these other things. So it's like you don't really know what you're doing either. So it's kind of like it's just so big that you just are like, I'm just gonna just figure it out as I go. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it was definitely fun, and me swinging around, like we did like a real swing, but they didn't end up using it. We ended up really just being carried maybe like 2 feet off the ground, and just like literally our director was just like going like this with us, and
movie magic, baby, movie magic.
Look, like we're swinging through New York. So yeah, just a big fan.
Well, you turned it.
Thank you, and I appreciate your support. And like I said already, I think you're such a talent, and I know that last time we talked, you were doing a musical.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. That's something I shouldn't forget about.
See, that's another thing.
But
See, the talent of it all.
her,
Yeah, I remember you were
you're gonna make
doing
me
that at the time.
blush.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, playing. Okay, so I've always wanted to play in Little Shops of Horror, right? I always wanted to be the urchins. I always wanted to be one of the urchins, just singing my little face off, yelling, squelting, not yelling, but like singing real strong and belting it out. Never thought that I would be offered the opportunity to play Audrey, and I took it right away because as a woman, right, there's so many stigmas when it comes to us, how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to act. We get picked apart. And I looked at Audrey on the television screen, and Ellen Green was an amazing Audrey. No one could ever top her, ever. But I saw this depiction of a blonde woman, and also being like something that not every blonde woman is like, or not every woman is like. And I was like, let's break this down a little bit. A lot of people sometimes even miss the context of even somewhere that's green, and I wanted people to truly understand who she was as Audrey. So I snatched it up, and I was like, I would love to do this because I feel like people need to see her. Do you want to wear a blonde wig? No, let's wear a wig that's like, a little bit more down to earth, more subjected to who she truly is, and not just like this caricature of what she is. People need to see her as human so they can relate to her. And it was beautiful. It was so fun. The best reception I could have ever received from someone. It was backstage, not backstage. It was at the stage door, and they said, for the first time, I actually understood how Audrey felt when you sang "Somewhere That's Green," and I was like, it made me cry because that was my goal. Like that was my main goal. I just wanted people to hear her. She just wants to be somewhere that's safe and sound, away from all of the ruckus. And not a lot of people got that in previous productions, and they got it with this production. And I was just so floored and happy to do it. And the cast was amazing. I worked with Amber freaking Riley, who I never thought I would work with in a million years. Isn't
beyond.
She like
so talented?
She's like goals when it comes to the gold chain. Okay, just a little, but it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous, and I would do it again. I would definitely do it again.
I wish I could have been able to see that. Both of you. Oh,
so fun.
Oh well. Hopefully, there'll be many more to go to.